Welcome back. We've got a story that originated in Seminole County and then ends up at the Orange County Sheriff's Office. It involves a deputy that is now arrested for unlawful oral communication interception and wiretapping. He's also accused of interfering with an investigation of a carjacking that occurred in broad daylight. We're going to take a look at this video here in a minute. I'm going to talk about the charges. But we just discussed just the other day that recording law enforcement over the phone is legal and lawful. I'm going to tell you how this one differs. All right, so let's break this down. We've got two vehicles here. There's a man that's already exited the vehicle. He has another vehicle behind him, which is recording the incident. This is a major road, and it is right in the middle of daylight like this. What occurred, according to the reports, is that this green Acura had repeatedly hit this white SUV, and the person inside the car got on the phone with her husband and was telling him about what was going on. The husband allegedly said, well, don't stop, keep going, don't stop. And at this traffic light here, the man in the Acura exits the vehicle from what appears to be the driver's side, and then someone in the passenger seat hops over. There's a little bit of motion that you can see here. I'll include all the videos down below. And then approaches this vehicle with what appears to be an AR pistol. There's people all around up here. This guy's staying back recording. And let's take a look at this. Doors are locked. He's got that there pointed there. And at some point in time, he, with a pause, or maybe this thing zooms in, he gets inside the vehicle and reaches back and I think opens this up with like a manual release. Hops in the back of the car and then proceeds to make a U-turn here. Now the guy filming here, he's catching this there, doesn't zoom in on the tags, but it also looks to be just like a dummy tag or a piece of paper on there, covering up what would be a tag. Now, they sit here at this light for some time for it to turn green. No one's calling 911. This guy's still recording, document the incident here. I would have immediately got on the phone and called something. But let's see what we have here. Yep, that's it. So they make the illegal U-turn and continue on, and that's that. Now, the vehicle is later torched. It's the woman inside does not make it, but the vehicle's torched, and they now link this Acura to another incident that involved a tow truck driver that ultimately was killed as well. And as we come over here, then throughout the investigation, an Orange County deputy accused of calling a detective to obtain information about a carjacking was arrested. And we've got a copy of the full warrant right here, including a photograph. Well, it's a pretty bad one here of the deputy, which is Deputy Francisco Estrella. And the charges that he's got here is interception and disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communications. That is like exactly what we talked about the other day, except for there's a couple different factors in here. This deputy called another deputy claiming to be a different deputy that is a detective trying to get information. I think that's where the difference is in here, but they also charge him with more of those same charges and disclosure or use of confidential criminal justice information. And the reason why they did that is once they obtained the warrant for the original arrest here, they found a subsequent recording on the other person's phone, the one that he actually was allegedly doing this information for, or getting this information. Now, in the charge of disclosure of or use of confidential criminal justice information, what is alleged is that this Orange County deputy was posing as a detective for the Orange County Sheriff's Office and trying to elicit information from the detective from Seminole County. The other charge here is unlawful use of two-way communication devices. That is simply using a cell phone. I don't think it applies there because that is generally when people are committing burglaries and they are using like walkie-talkies. But unfortunately, a two-way communication device is a cell phone. Now, the last one here is accessing computer or electronic devices without authorization or exceeding authorization. This is when the police officer that is posing as a detective getting information use the David database, which is the driver and vehicle identification database, to get information about the victim or the missing person and provide that to the husband. Police do this all the time. They run my name, they run Steven Sanders' name, which is a YouTuber, and Twisted Luck. But when they do it like that, they blow it off. But when it's cops pissing off cops, they seem to do something about it. All right, so let's take a look at this warrant here. It looks like the deputy is about 33 years old. And we have these guys here that are going to be writing this warrant up. So we'll jump down to the probable cause here and read some of this. I've got information blocked out there, like his phone number. April 11th at 17:45 hours, a Seminole County Sheriff's Office responded to a report of an armed carjacking and kidnapping that took place at the intersection of East Lake Drive and Tuscaloosa Road. That's the video we just watched. And the Major Crimes Unit responded to the scene and assured control of the investigation, which now progressed into an active homicide investigation. And just in case you want to pull some records, that is the case number right there along there. She was found shot to death and her vehicle set on fire in Osceola County. So 3 counties involved now. Detective Agrisani is part of the Major Crimes Investigative Unit. She's the one that is in charge now of doing the investigation and getting interviews with people. And 2 of those that she specifically was seeking an interview with is the husband and the brother of the victim in this case. Both Miguel and Lewis, which is the husband and brother, agreed to come up from Homestead. If you don't know where that is, it's at the south part of Florida, Florida City, and then you get into the Keys after that. So pretty far drive for them to get up here, but they agreed that they're going to come in. And while doing this, a pretty short time after the incident, the detective received a phone call from a number which she later identified as the Orange County deputy. So when that person got on the phone, he identified himself as a detective and maternal cousin of Catherine Guerrero. The detective asked the male to confirm his identity, and he stated his name was Francisco Archuela, a deputy with the Orange County Sheriff's Office, and that he was concerned about the safety of his cousin, Catherine. So this Orange County deputy that's posing as a different person is now asking if Catherine is in the area, trying to find out if there's any information that he can obtain, which was likely to be given to the husband of the victim. Kind of a strange situation here. But it went on to say that the male also stated that he queried Catherine Guerrero, presumably in FCIC and NCIC. That's the law enforcement database that allows you to see if someone has warrants, if they're missing, endangered, and so on. And it stands for Florida Crime Information Center and National Crime Information Center. And he informed the detective that Catherine was not entered the system as missing. So he knew that he was looking into this database. He's a police officer. I don't know how long he's been there. But when you do this, everything's tracked. So obviously he's trying to give some information here and maybe not give his name so that he doesn't come back and fall into his lap and say, like, what are you doing getting involved? Maybe it's a family friend. And I think he even admits that in here that they're family friends. Another phone call took place on April 12th from the same man or the same number, which identified himself as Francisco Archuela, and asked again about the progress in the investigation. So on this phone call, the detective said that I can't talk to you about this investigation, it's active, and then just left it at that. Now fast forward a little bit. Now Miguel is on his way to the Seminole County Sheriff's Office and arrives bringing his phone with him. He consents to a search of his cellular device, and when he does that, the police start looking through things. They find an app called WhatsApp. If you're not sure what it is, it's just a messaging app that kind of masks your number if you want it to, so that you can text people and not provide your full number, or you get a fake number and you use that with that. And when he did so, there was some information on there. They found that there was a digital business card for Detective Argensani. The deputy also recorded the conversation with the detective, providing it to the husband and getting that information there over to him, which what happened here is he's posing as a detective, trying to get information from one law enforcement to another, and I guess providing some that now exceeds that scope of his duties, and he is now sharing criminal intelligence information, which is a crime. And this other highlighted spot that we see right here, Detective Argensani found that Francisco Estrella utilized his agency's David, Driver and Vehicle Information Database, to query the detective of this investigation. And it goes on to show that his use of David was unrelated to any legitimate criminal justice purpose and therefore exceeded his authority to use David. He pulled up the information on the detective that was doing this investigation. I'm not sure why. It seems to me like if you are going to pull up the name on David, you can see a couple different things. The vehicle, the home address, and anything that is registered to them through the state of Florida, like a vessel as well. And then we look at the message thread. It shows that Francisco Estrella sent a photograph of Detective Argasani's driver's license profile, which included her license photograph, driver's license number, full legal name, directly to the husband of this incident. We scroll down a little bit more on this warrant. You can see that they had these recordings. They were using David. They have enough here to establish a probable cause that something is not normal. The fake name being used, asking the information, and then immediately giving it to the husband. There is a little bit more in here. We'll cover up here the act of sending these items to someone actively being sought for an interview and believed to be involved in the original crime clearly shows that Estrella had intent to obstruct this investigation, and there is no reasonable explanation for his actions. And what that sounds like to me, this is just pure opinion, is that he was trying to get information so that when he's interviewed, he knows what is about to be asked or said. The difference between the one that we discussed the other day and this one has to do with some fundamental First Amendment rights. One is about documenting the incident with the deputy while you're filing a complaint. If you're not familiar with that video, it'll be down in the description so you can see that. So jumping back to the warrant here and showing the offenses in here, the differences between the case, if you haven't seen it, it is one that I posted the other day where he was recording a deputy while making a complaint. This one has to do with some nefarious intent of posing as a person that you're not, asking for information that you shouldn't have, accessing databases that you shouldn't get into. Likely on these charges of interception and disclosure of wire, oral, or electronic communications likely will stick. With the other one, it's a First Amendment protected activity and should be that way no matter what. This one has some criminal elements to it. I want to thank you guys for watching, liking, subscribing. I'll see you again soon.